Good afternoon. John Persico here at the Strategy Innovation Channel. Last week, I talked about the 5 major elements of a bad strategy. This week, I want to discuss the elements of not a good strategy, but of a great strategy. And no, I'm not going to start talking about vision, mission, goals, or objectives. That's the usual elements of strategy, but we're going to go beyond the usual elements of strategy. We want to talk about what makes a great strategy. So, what is a great strategy? Well, first of all, a great strategy means leaving your competition stuck in the past. There are 3 elements needed for a great strategy. They're more or less intertwined. You can get by with only one, but true greatness requires all 3. First is what I call paradigm shift. This involves moving your products and or services to positions that you and your competitor would never have dreamed possible, even a few years earlier. So what are some examples of these? Oil power to solar panel power is one. Another one is from bar dating to online dating. And the third one is been kind of around for quite a while now, but years ago nobody would have even thought of it, but that's going from insourcing to outsourcing. And finally, and again, and this is another one that's been around for a while, but it certainly represents a major paradigm shift, and that's from brick and mortar universities to online universities. So that's the first one, where you shift your paradigm to an area that people had never thought about before. And it doesn't have to be a location, because it's a conceptual shift as well. The second major element of a great strategy is what I call paradigm breaking. And this takes the existing rules in your industry or in your business and throws them in the garbage bin. Most companies have a hard time doing this, and they're stuck in what I would call a paradigm rut. What are some examples of a paradigm breaking? Well, Deming, Dr. Edward Deming, when I worked with him many, many years ago, back in the 80s and early 90s when I was with Process Management International, one of the major ideas that Dr. Deming introduced in his 14 principles was going from many suppliers to single source suppliers. And you'd be surprised how many companies had a major problem with the idea that they could let go of 10 or 15 or even more suppliers and go down to one supplier. But this was breaking the rules of the industry, and it was unheard of. But many companies have now realized that that's the only way to go. Some other examples are from driver-focused cars to driverless cars. From fee delivery, where everything was charged for the deliveries, to free delivery. We see more and more of that online. And finally, from positive interest rates to negative interest rates. Who would have dreamed years ago that you could have something called a negative interest rate? And the last major element is paradigm creating. And this involves creating entirely new concepts and ideas and theories of which to do business. It's pure innovation and imagination at play. Some examples of this involve things that we haven't yet seen but are still in the news quite a bit. And that includes nanotechnology and quantum computers. We've already seen the other two of the other changes that could fall into this area, and that's one great example is social media marketing, and another example I like to think of is the TED Talks. I'm going to show you a diagram, it's a simple diagram, that incorporates all 3 elements. I like to think of these sort of like we did with the old PDCA cycle that Dr. Deming always talked about with plan, do, check, act, where you're going around in a continuous loop, and there's really no starting point. You could start at any of these points, but you work through all of them. So to bring this closer to you so you could see this diagram, this is what I'm thinking about when I think of the 3 key elements of great strategy. So finally, next week, I will talk about how we can create an actual paradigm shift. How can we be more open to the shifts that occur around us? For more information about my work with strategy, please call me at 612-310-3803, text me or email me at persico.john@gmail.com. Thank you very much for your time, and I hope some of this information was useful to you.